everything on this page.
So, if you search, was administrator or recent. But yeah, I'm getting old, but I think you- hopefully, some of them got some. Nice to see you all.
Yeah. Conference as well, and so we just, turns out with you.
So,
We go there.
was that exciting? So which one did you? We don't talk about that.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that's what we want, yes. That's the copy. Yeah, here's the copy, but we can- Oh,
Like the blue one?
no, she's talking about the, oh, yeah, the blue one,
Yeah.
maybe five money. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's. Well.
I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, how was it?
I'm just seeing it. Yeah. Well,
No?
actually. Yeah. Yeah.
At 7 o'clock, I'd like to call order the Milan Planning Commission meeting for March 14th, 2023. First order of business is pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Everybody is here. Okay, is there any questions about the agenda? Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented is second. Second. All in favor of the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Okay. I sent everybody draft meeting minutes from February 7th, 2023. Are there any additions or corrections? Motion to approve the meeting minutes of February 7th, 2023. Is there a second? All in favor of approving the meeting minutes, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Reports from chairman. At this time, I really have reports from the board member. Rob? I have enough. Wow. Nothing at last week's meeting? Yeah. Not to me. Well, I think there was something very important that happened. That I'd like to welcome Cheryl Majors as our newest member of the planning commission. He was appointed by the township board at last Thursday's meeting. Welcome, Cheryl. Also, at the board meeting, they approved, you guys adopted the amendment to the special use group procedures. Oh, we did. Obviously, they had a big impression. Anyway, so, okay, public comment, 2 minutes per person.
Welcome, Cheryl.
I guess there's nobody wants to make any comments. I'm really surprised.
I know, you're waiting for me. I'm trying to get.
Never mind.
I'm just saying, welcome to the board, Cheryl. I hope you look out for the community. Their best interest. Good luck. Thank you.
500-foot setback.
Okay, first item of business is a brief discussion regarding the process and timing of the proposed amendments for the new industrial only large solar energy system ordinance and other planning commission business. Because of that, the board adopted the new solar ordinance for industrial only. I anticipate that the amendments will be able to discuss and agree to quite readily. However, because of a number of other items that are on our agenda. These amendments, I do not plan to put on the agenda until May or June. And the reason for that is because of these other yes, it is.
Briefly refresh stuff on that.
Yes, I will. Okay. The purpose of the hearing is to hear public comments on the proposed modifications to the following sections of the Milan Township zoning ordinance. Article 5, of permitted uses to add camping as an accessory use in commercial recreational facilities and to be regulated by Article 13.07. Article 13, supplementary district regulations, section 13.07, private recreation, to add camping as an accessory use and to define camping as tent camping with less than 5 camping sites. The in the table of permitted uses, like I said, we'll add a line item under accessory uses. Have you found it? Mark? No?
No.
It looks like this.
Yeah, okay, I just was trying to figure out where you were reading from.
Okay. At the bottom of that first page, there's a line item that we're planning on requesting to add called camping, and there'll be accessory use in Ag 1, Ag 2, C1 and C2. Those are the areas that are either have a lot of campgrounds or private recreational areas. And will be supplementary regulations saying permitted as an accessory use to the commercial recreation areas. See section 13.07. One of the things that occurred to me is I would like this, our intent is to add tent camping or camping that is for tents. Anything else besides tents would be fall under campgrounds, travel trailer parks. So I would like to change that from camping to tent camping. I would also like to add that it's set off besides Article 5 and Article 13 in the definitions. We don't have anything that defines what tent camping is. And so in other words, so that in order to not be ambiguous or be more precise, I'm suggesting that tent camping is an activity for purpose of temporary housing transient for occupants in tents or similar portable, non-permanent sleeping quarters.
You see that again?
Yes, it's right there in the middle of the page.
Oh.
Cheryl, thank you for the copy I sent you earlier. Sorry for that. Tent camping is an activity for the purpose of temporarily housing transient occupants in tents or similar portable non-permanent sleeping quarters.
Do we want to add something about for recreational purposes? Not that I have anything against housing people in dire straits or under extenuating circumstances or emergency situations. We want to more closely define.
How about tent camping is a recreational activity? So.
I'm just trying to think if we didn't have that in there. you know,
I see the non-permanent sleeping quarters as possibly someone sleeping in a vehicle.
Well,
There's,
well, this specifically says intense or similar portable non-permanent sleeping quarters.
you can read a lot in. What else would there be besides tents?
Or non-permanent,
Yeah.
well, see, a car would be similar to an RV. Or a trailer, travel trailer.
No, but if you say tent, you mean tent. What else would you mean besides a tent? Or you say similar to, what else would there be?
he had something like and I've seen these at state parks, like, somebody helped me out their phone, yurts or, it's like a teepee, but it's a canvas, structure, yeah,
We just put canvas structure in there. Canvas structures,
Yeah,
are most tents canvas?
yes, but I guess, ironically, I shouldn't have the word tent there because it's only got a circular definition.
Jen, you just an idea.
Yeah.
So tent camping is a recreational activity for persons temporarily housing transient occupants in tents or similar portable non-permanent sleeping quarters constructed of similar materials or canvas. Is that narrow it down enough?
Well, you didn't mean. We're not clear.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The recreation is small side of the tent or shelter that is either mounted on the ground. Okay, it's already defined. That's gotta be-
Camping tent, right?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I also have camping tent is a recreational unit that is a soft-sided tent or a shelter. How about soft-sided shelter? That is either mounted on ground or is on skids designed to facilitate relocation from time to time, and that does not have a direct connection to a source of water or sewer facilities. Anyway, I thought that by adding those two definitions, that we can be more precise about what we were talking about.
so right now, what is getaway day? Is it C1, C2?
C1, yes. And we have a line item, as it shows here, a line item called campgrounds. And that campgrounds is currently in the ordinance and is a special use in Ag 1. However, the campgrounds is intended to be a standalone type of facility, such as like a KO, where you have RVs, trailers, tents, and the like. Versus a place like Getaway Bay or some, a recreational facility that wants to have a few tents for people to stay overnight. And that's why it's suggesting that camping as an accessory use, meaning that it is accessory use means that is not the primary use of the facility. And for example, farmers, who do farming also they have animals, and their animals are accessory to the overall farming operation. So anyway,
Yeah, just to clarify, the tent camping, as you understand it and written here, would be an accessory use in Ag 1, Ag 2, C1, and C2, but only if you just couldn't open up a tent campground. It would have to be an
There have to be
accessory to.
a recreational facility. You know, commercial recreational areas are allowed under special use in Ag 1, Ag 2, C1, and C2. So then, so if somebody wanted to have that use, then they go to section 13.07, which is on the next 2 pages. And in red is additions that I am proposing. Just as FYI, our planner, Lucy Fortin, and also our attorney, Marty Cameron, has reviewed this and has no concerns with it. So under there's section 13.07.3 campground travel trailers and tent site regulations. Currently, we require 30 acres for a facility to have camping or campground. In the second paragraph, the purpose of the campground, travel trailer park, or for camping as an accessory use in a commercial recreational facility shall be to provide temporary recreational sites and opportunities that are not intended for long-term housing. Occupancy within the park shall be limited from April 1st to December 1st, unless approval for an extension of that period is obtained from the Township Board. And then there's a paragraph about travel. Trailers shall be removed from campsites between December and April. No retail sales should be permitted to operate on the parcel except for convenience goods, shopping building.
But these trailers do not include him.
All sanitary facilities shall be designed about this right now. This has nothing to do with getaway day, even though they're going to ask to do this. This we have to look at it as for anybody who might have a recreational facility that might want to do this, not just only getaway. All sanitary facilities shall be designed and constructed in strict conformance with the Rural Health Department. All campgrounds shall be licensed by the state of Michigan. Now, campgrounds are have 5 or more campsites, and then they fall under this state of Michigan regulation. If you're under less than 5, you do not fall under the licensing requirement for the state of Michigan. Then we're proposing to add the addition some additional items. Campgrounds, campgrounds are intended to be standalone uses as permitted in Article 5, table of permitted uses. Camping as an accessory use is intended to refer to tent camping in a commercial recreational facility with less than 5 camping sites. H, all campgrounds shall be licensed by the state of Michigan and shall comply with the applicable state of county rules and regulations, including Part 125 of the Public Health Code. For campgrounds, travel trailer parks, tent sites, and camping, the following restrictions shall apply. 1, the maximum length of stay shall be no more than 14 consecutive days in any 30 day consecutive in any 30 consecutive days. Not sure what 1 should be. Yeah. 2, campers will observe quiet hours from 10 p.m. through 7 a.m. 3, camping sites shall be at least 300 feet from the nearest off-site residents. 4, facility manager shall be available and on call at all times. It should be 4. That, well, if he's available, if he's on call, he's available. So, and would be good. Access to facilities shall be restricted to campers only during non-business. Access to the facility shall be restricted to campers only during non-business hours. And 6, complaints from neighbors shall be reported to the township.
With the township.
That would be, I would say the township clerk. We get supervisor or supervisor.
Whoever's in the township at the moment. I don't think that the hours are full-time, so
Yeah.
the thing that anybody who calls is going to get whoever is with the township is correct.
Okay, and what can the township do? If somebody's complaining, there's a neighbor, you got like 300 feet, you know, near off-site resident, and they're loud, and it's late, or people are coming and going.
Well, we now have an official zoning ordinance enforcer. We can look into that. And because this is a special use, both his facility and camping are special use, he would be in jeopardy of losing the approval to operate his the entire facility.
Can the township board revoke that?
If he is violating the terms of his special use approval. And this would be part, these are the ordinance, would be the ordinances, this, probably 5 times. As you mentioned. And so if he's violating the ordinances, then, the special use approval could be revoked.
And that would just be at large vote of the township board.
Yes, that would be, a vote of the township board. I don't believe we have to go to court for that.
Do public get a comment now? Or you gotta wait.
I think, yes, thank you, Tim. So I think we're getting to a discussion on this, so let's open the public.
Yes, okay. Right, I
Give
forgot.
comments and then thank you, Tim, for reminding me. So, okay, I'd like to now, after I've explained it all, I'd like to, open this up to, public comment. Yes, Tim.
Tim Stoll, Milan Township. When you said quiet hours from 10 to 7, is that in and out traffic as well?
In and out traffic, for the campers, in and out would be all night. But for anybody else, it would not be. Because we would not be able to, restrict them, lock them in, so to speak.
What about it like a security gate where they have to like use a punch pad so not anybody and their brother could run in and out throughout the night, like a request for punch pad, like they got right there at that
Yes, I know what you mean.
that rental place where the storage units are.
Right.
Something
That
like
is,
that.
well, that, I
Definitely keep
agree. I agree that would have to be part of the site plan. And that where it would be, how they would regulate, like you said, the comings and goings of the people, because in here, it basically says that only campers are allowed in and out during non-business hours.
So is that something you would put in the site plan then?
That would be part of the site plan, because like it's access to the facility shall be restricted to campers only during non-business hours. Well, the first question, like you just had, that we would have during the site plan is, how are you going to regulate that? And that's what they would have to have some kind of process or where they would be able to restrict. Because right now they have the gates locked,
Right.
during the night.
I know Wilderness out there on the other side of Dundee had that. pad as well.
Exactly, and that is something that would have to be part of the site, would be on the site plan that said, okay, this is how we're going to do what, regulate the comings and goings, just like they would also show where they're going to have the tent sites, so that we could verify that they're going to be, not near a resident, any neighbors.
My next question is, if you're saying only 4 sites
Yes,
is what they're allowed,
that's all there.
how many people can be in each site? I mean, you could have 30 people in one site. Is that something you're gonna allow? Is it to a family or is it to a party, or I'm asking, there's something should be regulated there as well. You got 3 parties of 30, there's 100 people in a campground.
Yes, that's a good question.
Families 5, 6, maybe 7.
Right, I understand that.
I would think we could address that at the second level as well, because we're not interested in.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Large group camp.
What, Mike?
Well, I'm talking to you, so maybe we can repeat differently.
Okay,
I would think that we would not be qualifying this as group camping.
right,
So
Not group-
that during the site plan review, when we are going to be presented with a drawing that shows those tent sites, those tent camping sites, we will be able to figure out the size and agree or disagree as to whether or not that is appropriate for the use. And we can then say, this is too large a camping site to accommodate a reasonable amount of people.
so what she was saying is that, we could designate this as not group camping. And that during the site plan, we could determine or specify exactly, what the, largest campsite would accommodate
And also through the special use review,
in a special
because
use.
they have to present a concept plan or a preliminary site plan showing what they are proposing. At that point, we will be able to see and assess for ourselves whether or not we agree with the size of what's considered a 1-tent site. And determine whether we feel there's enough privacy and et cetera.
Should it also apply to the travel campers also? I mean, you don't want 25 people in one travel place, travel camper.
And, travel
Right now,
camp parks,
we're addressing
camp, and campgrounds is also a special use requirement, so we would have that same type of oversight, control as we are talking about here.
Most campsites are like 20 to 30, 20 by 30. You put a 20 by 30 campsite in Getaway Bay, you put up a 20 by 30 tent. How many people could you fit in it? That's one campsite. I mean, you're talking 20 to 30 people. John,
That's possible.
that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
that's, and like, our planner is mentioning, that is something that, where we would, as during the special use, discussions, and site plan reviews would, determine, the size of the campsites in terms of, the size of the
I
facility.
personally think we should put a number on it, so.
And that would also be true for any other campground or any other things that are already in your ordinance, so.
Right. So, that consideration is probably more depth that to be handled in the site plan and the special use approval process.
Another part.
Yes.
Hey, John, this is Brock, Milan Township. Why can't we look at the state regulation? If we're kind of following that, if they have 5, they gotta go by the state regulation. I'm sure the state's gotta have a number of people that can be on a campsite. And there'd have to be. Why
Yes, we
can't
can.
we look at that and see how many they say and then put a number on it?
I can take a look. I have a copy of that. And we can take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm certain they have a number of guests that can be on a campsite.
I will double check that. Anybody else?
What's the liability for, on the township making this ordinance?
Liability is, with the owner of the, facility, not on the township.
So when you state that there,
When we allow a use, the use does not say that we are liable for what it happens, on the properties that are used, that are doing that use.
so why are we making an ordinance for just 4 tents then?
In order to be able to, make sure that it's reasonably controlled.
So when you've asked, or you stated something about the, duty being in control of it, as in if there isn't a watchman there 24/7, it goes to duty, is that correct, for the enforcing?
No,
Okay,
a manager or watchman would be available on call or on site.
okay,
But Tim Dooley, our zoning enforcement officer, would only be called in order to verify that there was a zoning infraction or some other complaint that was being made.
so when you stated that there was people that are making noise and stuff, would duty have to come in and investigate that?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a cost to the township, correct? Then what about if there's a death or drowning or something? Will we be liable for that? Because this lake used to run as private insurance, you know, they had to get their own insurance. And if there was a drowning or anything, they never came back to the township. Right?
All are happened, and the township is not liable for accidents like that.
Okay, so if we're making an ordinance, are we going to put ourselves into a liability type state of mind?
Not,
Where's
we
the
are,
lawyer? Where's Marty? That would be the guy to ask.
I can verify that with him, because I'm not a lawyer, of course. And, but I'd have to say, I will verify that with him. And, but I would have to say that, no, by us creating zoning ordinances does not make us liable for issues or accidents or problems that occur, for people doing those uses.
So I still don't understand, this lake has been there for all my life, basically, and we have never had an ordinance there. And it was always private property.
We have an ordinance, it's under private recreation,
Okay,
but we don't have, it doesn't,
it doesn't relate to camping.
it doesn't really relate to much of anything.
Yeah, okay, there it is. So why are we reinventing the wheel? I think it's fine with what he's doing right now and making a living there. And it's his responsibility. It's not the community's responsibility if something happens. That's private property, right? So if he wants to have a party or whatever, he can get a rider, he can call his insurance, and it can be covered under his dime.
Yes, it is.
And then,
It is covered under his document. We've never, been part of any kind of insurance or liability issue on it,
not getting of it,
on his or anybody else's.
okay, this ordinance wouldn't do anything of the sort.
Zoning ordinances basically just regulate what people can do, the use of it.
So, like parties or like walks or, you know, I think he stated something that he wanted.
Well, yes, we do have a event licensing or, ordinance, which basically says that, you know, if you want to have a rock concert or whatever on your property, you have to have so much insurance, but that's for you. You know, that's not for the
So
township.
that's private
You know,
property.
you have to have security, that's for you, not for the township.
So if there's a drowning or anything, accident, rowdiness, The police are called, the fire department's called, there's no charge to the fire or to the township.
Not that I'm aware of.
And it happens quite a few times every year.
Well,
That's
yeah,
how it is.
yeah, they have, you know, the
Yeah,
previous,
I
the previous owners have had the police out there numerous times. There have been drownings at the lake and other issues, so.
So we're putting camping in or tenting and putting 4 tents, I guess, correct?
Right. The reason why we're having to go through this hassle, is because, under our current ordinances, camping as a standalone item or accessory use is not covered. And campgrounds is, and if you wanted to put a standalone campground, you know, in an Ag 1 district, you know, he could do that and have camping, you know, and camping in an RV park and stuff like that, but, at his facility where he's at this recreational facility, it's our ordinances, it's a loophole, it's not a loophole, it's a, item that just is not covered, and so he really is not allowed. And, so therefore, and, you know.
Am I
if you-
wrong?
But isn't that private
Didn't
property?
the use, precede the zoning ordinance? Was that?
The use of the lake and,
The private use, private recreation,
yes,
did it precede the ordinance?
yes,
And that's the reason it's kind of non-conforming currently.
well,
And it seems property owners.
it's in the C1 district, and it's allowed, recreational areas allowed in the C1 district.
Okay.
Another question. What about swimming hours?
Now, yes, sir, you have a question.
Yeah, but that's okay. Next round, Milan Township. You know, I'm just listening to this and it doesn't matter to me if they have campsites or don't have campsites, but I've lived there all my life. I know how it's been run for the last, I don't want to say 61 years. Why would we allow camping at all there with the alcohol issue? You just said that they had several police calls there, you know, throughout the day. We want to have more at night. I mean, are we asking for the rowdy of the rowdies to stay there and party until 3 a.m? You know, if I live next to it, I wouldn't be happy. But I mean, because I think you're looking for heading for a problem. That facility, I don't know who's running it now, but that facility has run, I'm not gonna say poorly, but the clientele that come there are not mom and dad and 2 kids going in a tent. You know, they're young kids going there to consume alcohol and have a party all day in the sunshine and the water. You're gonna let 4 campsites stay there, so you're gonna have the rowdiest one. I just don't understand why we would do it. If you don't have alcohol, then it's another story, but I think you're asking for problems at night. I mean, I haven't been there, but I know there's a large amount of alcohol consumed in that facility, what I was told.
I was one of them.
Well, now that Karen's not there, alcohol consumption is down.
Thank you. Yes, Tim.
Then the site plan, would you have swimming hours regulated from certain time to certain time? I mean, sunrise and sunset, is that how you would regulate the swimming? I mean, you get alcohol involved after night, you know you're asking for problems, you're running in the water.
That's something that he would have to, that'd be an internal, rule for, that he would have on his facility.
Why wouldn't you put it in the site plan so we could regulate that as well, if you catch people running around in there in the middle of the night?
Yeah, you might think of a fence too, because I know how you can get in there without going through, yeah. It needs to be fenced in too.
Does he have a license to let people drink alcohol there? His license for this.
If you would call alcohol, you would have to go.
We're done. Can't even have a sign that says no alcohol.
I'm not sure if it does.
I say can't.
I don't know, I don't remember, if he has a sign that says no alcohol. He may.
Is it fall into the
I think it's trying to-
category if you allow alcohol? That's what I think.
Again, that would be his insurance. As far as,
Is the township gonna look at this insurance policy? Are you gonna look at the insurance?
we do not look at people's insurance policy. But that's their own business.
If he doesn't have enough insurance to cover everything that goes wrong,
That's a follow up. Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, in our conversations with the previous owner in the brief time that he owned that property. I was of the understanding that he was trying to clean it up. He was trying to make it more family friendly from what I understand. I did visit it once or twice, just to. It was during COVID and they wouldn't let me in the pool here at school, so the conversations that I had with him, I believe he was attempting to clean the place up. Now, with the new guy, I don't know. You drive by, you see some capital improvements, but not many, and, you know, he's got a long way to go. I agree that, you know, we need to consider hours, alcohol, access. But I also, at the same time, you know, the gentleman who owns it now owns property in the township, and we have, you know, we're not looking for reasons to tell people no. I don't know that I'm ready to do that yet, but I think there's been some really good concerns. But
I strongly think that if there's campers there, tent people in tents, if there's one person there, I think someone needs to be there on site, not a call in and that person needs to contact the police or whoever, not contact someone that's not in their office. I mean, who's gonna take care of it tomorrow.
no,
I mean, if there's issues, you can't take care of them tomorrow.
no, it doesn't. In the way it's written now, he's required to have somebody on site or a phone call away.
Right.
Yeah.
I say on site.
Well,
Phone call.
I do know the state regulations for campgrounds says that, you know, all you have to do is have somebody on call. So, it's consistent with the state of Michigan regulation that I have read.
And then again, in my limited experience going to various campgrounds, I don't believe that there was anybody physically present on those.
Right.
There isn't the one in Ida, there isn't the one in Dundee. The people present.
Yeah, I agree. If it's a private campground, it's my campground, I want somebody. I'm referring to like the state parks that we.
There's not an access code for tent people. And that there's no one there to monitor who's driving in and out all night long. I think that's an issue.
I agree. It needs to have,
And so if the person's not there, who's gonna know who's coming in and out?
well, that's like was mentioned about having the heated.
Yeah, John,
Right.
you can do that, but then you still got buddies that give the passcode to somebody else. That's what I'm trying to say. Somebody should be present at all times, or just not even do it, like Nick said.
And I agree, you hate to turn away, something that he's trying to make it go of, but there needs to be stipulation.
Yes. And oftentimes, a lot of these things are things that would be worked out or agreed to during the site, special use application, and the site plan. The zoning ordinance looks at the big picture. And then the special use approval is where and the site plan are the documents where you get down to the specifics of many of the different issues that are sites, project specific. And, for example,
Now you got another question on that.
anyway, yes,
Milan Township, in case this is helpful, it looks like the state regulation for campsite capacity is no more than 6 people and 2 vehicles per campsite. It also says tent only campsites are limited to the number of tents that can fit on a campsite, which means as many tents as necessary to accommodate a single camping party are permitted within the boundaries of the site.
thank you. Thank you. I will, thank you for looking that up. Somebody, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I was gonna say that also, but. So if there is not some,
Please speak a little louder.
if there is somebody not on site at all times, and somebody drives by, they contact the number. And the ordinance person is supposed to come. What will happen? Does he cite the owner? And where does he live?
No, what we're referring to is the manager of the facility
Right.
would have his number, they would be able to call him wherever he's living, hopefully nearby, and would then be able to take care of any issues or problems that were happening. And however, now the zoning enforcement officer would only be called if there was a complaint by somebody, and where he would then go and to check out a problem.
Okay, now where does this, how far away does the zoning enforcement officer live? And if that phone call was made, what, I mean, he's gonna, where's he warn the owner or cite the owner or what's?
He has the ability to cite the owner.
But it doesn't have to be right when it's called. Right?
No, it doesn't have to be at the time. It could be at a later time.
Not against this necessarily, but I'm thinking of, the people who handle their the entire party and their rowdy.
Well, if that's the case, then that's something for the police and not for the township. The police would handle something like that. And the police would have to be called. And I don't know how long it takes them, but they come, I think they have a substation in Navy, which is not that far.
So police calls, ambulance calls,
Fire department,
any type of those calls, who pays?
yes, you would. Township does not pay for this.
Now,
Yes,
if the owner was to decide to go to an actual state licensed campsite, would that be allowed under our current ordinance?
yes. Yes,
Well, that would mean
our
that
current ordinance says that if he wants to have a camp.
One. Our current ordinance.
Okay, I'm sorry, you're both right. Under our current ordinance, a campground is only allowed in Ag 1. So he could not he's in C1, and so therefore he could not upgrade himself to a campground. He can't be a
without
campground.
us changing the,
Zoning, right, for campgrounds.
but if he decided to go to a state licensed campsite, then most of the rules would already be written by the state. That's,
If he could, yes. Because they are, like,
well,
there are state
I
regulations.
just think that we would end up writing a lot of little rules around this for 4 tenths. And that, is it really worth our time?
Not really.
Not really, it seems. If he's really serious about this and wants to go to a campground, he can come to us with that and we can decide what's appropriate there.
Well, we would have to allow campgrounds as a special use in C1.
But it would at least open the conversation,
Right,
but the state would be in control of most of the rules that have been worked out long ago.
correct,
We wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel.
correct.
Do we know if he's interested in more than 4 sites?
He has expressed he only wants 4 sites because he doesn't want to have to follow all the rules and regulations of the state of Michigan.
Bob, what do you think about cameras? Put cameras on there?
Hell no.
So you're saying that he only wants 4 sites, it's private property, right?
Yes,
So he could go ahead and do the 4 tents without any of this issue, correct?
well, no, because it's private property, but it is also commercial activity. And so that's why the zoning ordinance, regulates what he's doing as a commercial activity. I mean, you could
He put
set up,
some tents up there if it was just his friends, but he's charging money. This is the business he's operating. and We
Right.
have the obligation to regulate it.
for example, you could have, set up a couple of tents in your backyard and nobody would care,
Right,
including the township.
so, but doesn't he live there? Is there a resident there?
It's supposed to be
But
there.
even though.
That's questionable.
I
Are you aware there is a trailer down the hill in the back that somebody lives in right now?
No, I'm not aware of that.
Yes, all winter they've been there. When you get on the expressway, you can see there's a vehicle down there. There's all the time the heaters running in the trailer. There's 2 trailers, one abandoned, but he put this one down the hill. You can just barely see the top of it. You can't see it from Cone Road, but if you go down the ramp, there's a trailer sitting there and there's somebody living there.
We can fire this tomorrow.
I have an issue that he doesn't come to these meetings to even tell us what his intentions are, or, if we have a question, it'd be nice that we could ask.
Well, he probably doesn't want more than 5 sites. If he has to do state regulations, there's probably no alcohol.
But regardless, it'd be nice if we talk to us.
Exactly. We have a hearing, they should be, whoever's wanting, the hearing on, they should be here to answer questions,
Exactly.
mandatory.
We know if he's watching online.
There's only one other one that I don't know who it is. It just says Samsung.
Okay, I don't think he's, I think I know who that person is. Okay, well, I think that, any more time for the public hearing.
So I have questions, but,
Okay, we're going to continue with this.
okay.
But I want to look, if there's everybody's had their say. Yes, Tim.
I think cameras would be a good idea, just so you'd have a video of the license plates in and out. No matter what it is at the time, put that in the site plan, please.
Okay, any other public comment? Yeah, I'd like to close the public comment portion of this. And now, okay, you had some things you wanted to say, Cheryl?
Yeah, so he mentioned that this is an experiment, so if this works, then he might move on.
Well, put it this way, you would have to then go through
And
the whole process again. And if anything more would be a campground, and Bob just mentioned, we would then have to change the ordinance to allow campgrounds in C1. And I'd say that's a whole other.
On here, we have tent camping down here as accessory, and then we have underneath ag 1, tent sites. So what's the difference between tent sites and tent camping? In the campgrounds?
In section 13.07.3, the title of that section is campground, travel trailer parks, and tent site regulations. And so
So the campgrounds have tent sites.
correct.
Okay, all right.
So we're just trying to be a little more inclusive. adding that description on that line item.
So commercial recreational areas, private can be in A1, A2, C1 or C2
Vertical, yes.
currently. Is there any other campgrounds in Milan
No,
Township?
not that I know.
KC,
No, not in-
that's not.
If, once we get to the other pages, I think. C3. That was great, that shall be removed. But are we gonna talk about that? Or
Well,
we're talking about tents?
he doesn't have, he won't have trailers. And that's, the other, travel fair market. Campgrounds.
Are we allowing 14 consecutive days of tent camping or is that?
Yes, it was suggested that we want to make sure that people don't stay there forever.
Right, and then does he have facilities for showers for 14 days? Do we know? Is that something that required?
Not required,
Not required for such use.
not for something. Might be for campgrounds, but not for,
For where he's at?
for use at.
Does he have potable water right now?
And he has,
Showers?
no, I do not, he does not have showers. So, we have to leave his porta potties. And so.
Not saying that I don't know, but I did. That they did have showers and
Oh, did they?
One time.
bathrooms.
Okay, that's very correct.
But I don't know if he has.
Yes, potable water, yes.
So the rest of this has to do with his, like, especially.
Right.
We're gonna fix that.
Well, that's, we're basically talking about whole people. And that, again, that was for more reference than, tonight, we're just basically talking about the ordinance amendment to add camping and the additional regulations to, the zoning ordinance. And not to approve, not necessarily, not to approve special use. That will come later. But first, we have to decide whether, the township board will have to decide whether, camping should be added as a, accessory use. That's,
Tent camping?
yeah.
I'm just not comfortable with it right now. I think there's too many questions and that I think he needs to be here to answer some questions. We've got a lot of questions with no answers.
Well, again,
And it's just not for him, it's for whoever else wants.
well, that's why we have to decide what do we want. Any type, in the old zoning ordinance, what do we want to see for tent camping in terms of regulations? And, which is obviously for him, but could be for anybody else as well. And, I think, for example, alcohol and fencing and, making sure that, state regulations are consistent, I think that, again, are part of, they're part of the special use approval process and the site plan process. Because that's, that, like I said, the zoning ordinance is a overview, a very high altitude type view, where the special use and agreement and site plan agreement are, the specifics, you get down to the specifics of the actual project in themselves. So that's why some of this, the comments falls under those that work. versus trying to fit something, write something into the
Well,
ordinance.
what if we get to the special use here and we say, oh, we don't want to do that, we want to do that, we don't want to do that. Oh, by the way, I guess we just maybe want to do any tent camping.
Okay,
Then what do we say?
if he doesn't want to agree with what we want, then, it doesn't happen.
In the special use, in the special
He
use.
doesn't get, he doesn't get a permit.
All right,
We hold the advantage of being able to say, okay, these are the conditions under which we will allow you to have tent camping.
And we may add, others. Depending on the.
Right. Besides the ones that are listed here, we can add others. Yes. Does anybody else in the township, or any interest in doing what you guys do over here? No. And you say, well, why are we doing this just for him? Well, he has a piece of property and a business, and he wants to, use it for, at this time for something that is not addressed in the ordinance. And so that's why we have to go through this. Would we be doing this if he wasn't asking for it? No, but he is. It's like the next guy, the next topic we'll be talking about is the same situation. I think, one of the things I'm going to do is recommend that, we, table this until our next meeting. And we'll, in which we will, I'll have some of the answers to some comments or questions that was asked. And, we will, make sure that, Mr. Perry is available for, questions and answers.
well, I strongly still think that someone should be on site if there are people there coming on site. And then complaints from neighbors shall be reported to the township, reported to the police. Yeah, what's the township gonna do if they can't answer the phone?
Well, depends on what the complaint.
Yeah,
This is more of a complaint that, last night there was, there was too much noise at work. And, well, we have a noise ordinance and,
well, I would call the police, to get the police involved.
and,
Okay.
Right.
So I think it needs to be defined up and clear and call the township.
Okay.
Or
The follow-up, well, you still pointed that call the township, when, it's in duty, right? When he investigates this, if he finds that there's been violations, he can do what? He can issue.
He can issue a citation, which there's a fine, and then if it's not taken care of, it becomes a misdemeanor, which is a level of infraction where he could be either jailed or additional fines.
And you mentioned before that the township board has the right to revoke its special use.
Correct. If he's not following once we have an agreement with the owner in a special use agreement, if they violate that, the township board has the right to rescind the approval and shut it down.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that we continue this at our next meeting. Is there a second? Second. All in favor of tabling this until our April meeting? Say aye. Aye. Aye.
So who are you gonna ask questions to?
Our lawyer.
When you
Yeah.
email the lawyer, so that so we know the answer right away.
And also I'm going to be looking into the state regulations. These kind of people were able So I thought I would be able to get the actual language down on paper. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, I got it up here too. I can forward you this link. But I also found, what is it, State of Michigan 125?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Are you closing? Public hearing closed? Public hearing closed.
Yes. Okay, now, the next item on the agenda was a preliminary discussion of zoning enforcement procedures and an ordinance amendment to change zoning infractions from misdemeanor to civil infractions. Currently, if somebody violates a zoning ordinance, it is classified as a misdemeanor infraction, which is, can be taken to court and they can be, fined and or put in jail if it's, egregious enough. And there was some, suggestion to change it to a civil infraction, which is basically just a fine, a monetary fine, which, is just be charging, fining the money, just like a traffic ticket. I had a discussion with our attorney regarding this, and he was of the opinion that it was he would prefer to leave it as a misdemeanor. He basically said that with the zoning enforcement officer and the they have he has a lot of latitude to basically write citations, and which is a small fine, and then if it doesn't get resolved, it immediately goes to a misdemeanor and can be goes to court. So our attorney basically said that he felt that reducing it to just a civil infraction which is just financial penalty, would be more, we look at more as a cost of doing business, and the people that really have, the ones who really don't want to comply would have no incentive to comply, because they can charge $50 or $100 to violate the ordinance, and they would just say, okay, charge you, again and again. Well, yeah, right. Whereas with a misdemeanor, you can actually get their attention.
Yeah, from the judge.
Exactly. So, and I agree with him. In terms of withdraw the suggestion to change our current ordinances from misdemeanors to civil infractions. So I think that it would not be to our advantage. So I will be I'm going to meet with Mr. Doobie and our supervisor and to discuss the zoning enforcement procedures to make sure that the procedures that he proposed a few months ago are what we want. And at that point, the township board can decide what, through a resolution, what kind of procedures Tim Doobie will be working on that. Basically, the procedures are just to make sure that everybody knows what kind of what the process is for him to enforce his zoning ordinance.
Time the topic may elevate.
Well, that was a proposal that I had put together, and like I said, I'm withdrawing that. So it's no
longer in the table.
No longer on the table. There's some ideas I had, Not all my ideas are great. Okay. New business. Preliminary discussion of the request from Corbin Oil to allow the parking of semi-trailers at their facility on Plain Road. Again, this is a preliminary discussion. In your deck, okay, what transcribed is Corbin Oil came to us, Mark Moody and myself had a meeting with them, and they would like to allow a company. There's a trucking company that has a large number of trailers, semi-trailers, and they would like to park these trailers on their property, which Home Road and Arbor, US 23 interchange, the old Wicks place. And right now it's 14, they have 14 acres there, and they are only utilizing it as a storage place for their LP tanks and a transfer point where they transfer the LP to their trucks for distribution. And so they came to us and asked if they could do that. Well, they're in a zoning district of C2. Unfortunately, the parking of semi-trailers and on property like that is under a use called cartage, and that's cartage is a fancy word for a trucking operation. And currently we allow as a permitted use cartage in the industrial I1 and I2 districts. You may have driven down Ann Arbor Road and seen all the trailers parked next to on the lot next to Darby Cement on Ann Arbor Road. That is basically what we're talking about. Where they park a whole bunch of temporarily park a whole bunch of trailers, and then as they need them, they take them and they do whatever and bring back whatever. So that's what they were asking for. Well, in C2 we don't. It's not, our cartage is not allowed. So in order for them to be able to have this type of operation on their property, we need to add cartage use to the C2 district, not as a permitted use, but as a special approval use. That way we have some control over it. And so that is what is the first thing we need to do, is decide whether we would like to move forward with adding cartage businesses in the C2 district as a special use. Any questions?
Yeah, does the definition of cartage, is it just simply storing these trailers, or is it maintenance and working on these trailers and the health of these trailers?
It's cartage is a general description for a trucking business. So that could include including service as well. But again, under a permitted use, the guys down, I think his name is Brad Wade, down there, could do any type of trucking business on his property down on the road. Here, under a special use, we would be able to control exactly what we would allow them to do or not to do. For example, if we would say, okay, you can park semi-trailers and take them in and out, but that's all you can do. Or you can also service them, maybe, or whatever, depending on what they would have to ask they would have to come to us and say, okay, this is what we want to do, and, we would have to say yes or no during the special use, approval process.
Did they put this?
Corrigan provided the map that you have there, as well as the, special use, request, that, they provided right as well. And they do have a person here, Stacy, is here to answer any questions that you might have of that. But again, the first thing we do is decide whether we want to allow, cartage, in the C2 district. So,
Is cartage just trailers? What is?
The definition is, the process of transporting goods by land, rail, or road. The transportation is relatively for short distances, and the movement is usually within a region between two closer towns. I'm just guys. Watch out for that.
So is this the overrun from the Ann Arbor Road Cartage Place, or is this in addition to?
This is separate.
It has nothing to do with the Ann Arbor place?
No.
On Ann Arbor Road?
He just deals with one company out of Dundee, right?
Right,
So this is totally nothing to do with them?
not that we know. So according to Corrigan, as far as I know, they don't know I don't know if they are the same company that is involved with, the Ann Arbor Road one or not. It could be, or it could be somebody totally different.
For what it's worth, the guy in Ann Arbor Road seems like a pretty class act.
Really nice.
Yes, it is. And, again, the Corrigan will have to go through a special use approval as well as a site plan, so that, for this.
Do we know who the trucking company is?
What's the name of the trucking company? Queen Tech?
What is it?
Oh, okay. Apparently they have a lot of cars.
Well, it does look like there's a lot of.
Yes.
So are these trucks gonna be coming from the Ann Arbor facility, the Ann Arbor Road facility back and forth to the Cone Road facility?
It will depend, from what I have been able to get from them. Right now, those trucks, depending on the route, most of them are already getting off the highway at Cone Road. This would be so that those trucks wouldn't then have to make another stop at the Ann Arbor Road. They would just utilize that Cone Road. And not have to double that after a delivery.
So when the trucks get back on Cone Road, which way are they going?
It would depend on kind of the route that they're on. So for example, if, let's say they have a trailer run or a tractor run a trailer to the Ann Arbor staging site, there might be another tractor coming from a different region to pick up that trailer and make a delivery on a different route. Does that make sense?
The only issue I see is that getting on 23 north is such a small entrance on there. If you have a lot of traffic on there, it could be an issue, but they're just running back and forth on Ann Arbor Road.
No, they're utilizing US 23.
North,
Of course, so that's something that is up to them and.
I can't imagine they do that anymore than that very young.
Correct.
That's a recycling plastic company in Dundee. They think they're.
And we would govern how many trailers could actually be within that.
They're looking to about approximately 150 trailers for the parking lot.
Lot of traffic.
Well, that's what they'd be parking there. So
They
we-
do it when they have to come and go.
Not all, but not all of them all the time. No. I don't know how many daily, but that's. Actually, it'd be interesting to find out from Mr. Wade You know, what traffic in and out.
Brad owns the concrete
Dennis
property.
wants to
So,
tell.
yes, Stacy,
They give us an estimate of 50 daily.
50 daily? Oh, okay, thank you.
However, they did say on average, about 40 are already accessing the road on a daily basis. The delta would be about. I didn't add that specifically.
Would that eliminate the one on Ann Arbor Road?
I'm sorry, you heard it?
So would that eliminate Ann Arbor?
We have not gotten an indication.
So they're saying 50 trailers per day. And right now they're doing about 40 from the Ann Arbor site. So they're looking at 10 more from your site.
Or rerouting them from Ann Arbor.
So in total, the township would see, the township would not see 90 trailers in and out. They'd see 50 trailers in and out.
Correct, it's about a delta, an increase in.
Increase of about 10. Interesting. Yes, yes.
Question, are you gonna be running switchers on Ann Arbor Road? Because you're doing it now and the traffic is impeded, that, you know, they're running like 30 miles an hour on Ann Arbor Road, which is a 55-mile-an-hour road.
I'm sorry, I don't.
Excuse me,
You're gonna be going
one moment.
to clean tech.
Stacy is the representative of Oregon. So she, you know, she knows what she's been told by the company, but not.
Right now, they're running switchers on there, and if you get behind one, you sit there certain times of the day that it takes, you know, maybe 5 or 10 minutes longer to get to where you're going, because they're only running at a certain speed. So it's, I guess the question is to you guys, if they're gonna do it, they need to run semis. If they're gonna be running to,
When you say switcher, what do you mean by switcher?
Switcher is a semi,
I drive semi, switchers are in all the facilities, and they're like a half of a semi. Basically, they have their own lifts for the trailers, so they don't get out and do the landing gear or anything. They hook up the hoses and lift it up and they run it down the road. I think they've licensed, looks like they have a license on them somehow, but it's still, they're only running, you know,
So you're saying that
35 mile an hour or something like that, all the way down.
I doubt it. So
They,
you're
they,
saying
they used,
that,
they used to run semis. They had somebody on the Ostrander Road was contracted with them, but now, for some reason, they're running switchers up and down Ann Arbor Road.
yes, Stacy.
If it matters, the intention at this site is for all trailers and tractors to be able to go on the highway. They wouldn't be moving short distances down the road.
So they're not going to the clean tech. They would have to be coming and going for clean tech.
With a trailer,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the question is, if you're gonna run the switches down there, which you got factories getting out.
Yeah.
As it is, you're only about a mile. Right now, it's only about a mile and a half, maybe, to where they get on the side road to get to clean tech. But you're talking of making it like 3 miles to clean tech, something like that.
the switcher, you're trying up a lot of crap.
Yeah, you're gonna create traffic.
Are they allowed?
Well,
They never used to be.
it looks, I swear it's all license plate on one of them.
Where's that budget too?
I've seen them. I go down there, anybody gets water has to go down there and see them driving all. Yeah.
Well, what we can do is we can find out from Clean Tech what their intentions are.
You might want to check with the state, because seems like they shouldn't be able to run them that far of a distance. Maybe there's certain distance they only can run them. Usually they stay in the facilities.
Right. So thank you for the information. Any other, so again, I guess I'd like to move forward and, set up schedule a public hearing for adding cartage to the C2 zoning district. And, that's the next step. So that'll be our April meeting. And then the township board can decide whether they want to, adopt that use for, in the C2 district.
And in the meantime, Johnny, you're gonna reach out to Mr. Wade and kind of get a preliminary idea.
Yes, yes.
Brad Wade is not there.
I'm sorry, I misspoke about rule. Thank you. Anyway, yes, I will be talking with the owner of the Ann Arbor facility. And so it's safe.
So that kind of information could be added to the special use permit.
Oh, yes, again,
About switchers being used.
Yeah.
and like I said, all of this is preliminary. I just wanted is to get everybody up to speed on what is happening, so that we can move forward in an orderly process. Like I said, the next process is to, if the cartage is approved by the board, then we can move forward with the special use details.
I thought we had to approve it, then send it to the board.
We do.
Okay.
We do. So first we have to, at the public hearing, we have to decide about adding cartage to the C2 district. Then, once that's adopted by the township board, then we have a discussion with Oregon about their special use and their site plan. And then we get an agreement there, and then that goes to the board for their final approval.
Are you guys leasing the property to this trucking company?
We would be, yes, but we'd still maintain, our program activity on our portion of the property.
So I'd like to make a motion that we have a public hearing at our April meeting to get public comment for adding cartage business to the C2 zoning district as a special use.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Okay, anything you guys would like to bring up?
I just want to mention that I know we're back a couple meetings about calling the attorney and who can talk to the attorney and go through who to talk to the attorney. And I think it was brought up that any type of information that was presented to the attorney was to be emailed. And then if that email, for instance, if you do it, if you email the attorney, if you could include your board members in the email so that we know what was going on instead of at the last minute.
Okay, I can.
And when we know what, yeah, we know what his answer is.
Sure. Okay. And yes, the township board directed both the board member and as well as the planning commission and anybody else that if the attorney was to be contacted or things discussed with them, that was either go through the supervisor, the township clerk, and or myself, the PC chairman. And in that way was not to stifle anybody's questions, but just to make sure that there's full transparency about what's going on and that we're all on the same page. Because I have no intention, if somebody wants to say, hey, I have this question or whatever, I have no intention of saying, that's a stupid question. No, we're not going to answer that. No, I won't. I feel that whatever needs to be discussed with it should be. So, but yes, I will try to remember to CT. Thank you. That's fine. I don't mind being reminded.
So all my questions will about the getaway day special use
We're able to come in.
Yes. Well, anybody else have any, things they want to bring up? Okay, public comment. Anybody have any public comment?
I do.
Yes, Jim.
No disrespect at all meant to this at all. But we hired Lucy as a planner for solar. Why is she here if we're not discussing solar?
He was hired to be a township planner for all issues, regardless of what they are. In other words, solar, cartage, camping, anything that, helping us to, do whatever is necessary. And, so that is why we hired her, not just because of solar.
My understanding was we hired her just for solar.
No, she was hired to be a basically help out. And she's doing a very good job of that too. She behind the scenes, she is doing a lot more than, people realize.
No disrespect, no, as long as you don't listen to you, we're okay.
She works for the township board. So, she doesn't work for me, she works for the township board.
But my mistake.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, our next meeting, will be April 11th. It is second Tuesday. And, so, is there, a motion to adjourn?
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned. 8:30.
What do they-